Hi everyone, it's Jay Egersdorff here, previewing game week 4 of the Fantasy Premier League. Game week 3 was a real kick in the teeth for me, so I went into the game week, I was in a pretty good position inside the top 250k, so I went into it with really high hopes, and I got a real kick in the teeth. I got 36 points, so that sends me down to 607,181, so just outside the top 600k. Still not a total disaster, and it's still something I can build upon, but considering I went into the game week with 2 free transfers, and I got rid of 2 of my flops, who were Jota and Ozil, and I put in Pedro and Richarlison. We all know what happened with Richarlison, so he got sent off and got a not very helpful -2, or was it -3? Got minus anyway, and now he's got a 2-game ban, so he's out. I've got rid of him already. And Pedro, of course, didn't continue his early season form, and he only got 3 points. So the irony of the whole situation was, if I hadn't have logged on at all and not made any transfers, all right, I'd have lost the transfer, but I'd have still got more points than I ended up with. But that's the nature of FPL. It can be very frustrating, and that's the way it goes. So I kind of knew I've played this game for long enough that some weeks it just goes against you. And I watched the City v Wolves game Saturday lunch, and I had Mendy and I had Aguero, and Aguero, after about half an hour, Aguero hit the post, and it was one of those shots that probably another couple of inches to one side, or another sort of type of spin on the ball, and it would hit the post and gone in the net, and away we go, off and running, points in the bag straight away on the Saturday lunchtime kickoff. And there's no better feeling than for an FPL manager to start the weekend with some points in the bag ahead of the 3 o'clock games. Instead, it hits the post. Then Mendy concedes a goal, which I think it was offside and it was handball. So it was like, probably shouldn't have stood, but it was quite a hard one for the officials to spot. But anyway, he concedes a goal, and then right in the last minute, Aguero has a free kick and hits the blooming crossbar. So you're looking at that thinking, that is a real kick in the ghoulies. That's a real unfortunate one. Then by half-time at the 3 o'clock games, Richarlison's been sent off. So you're looking at it just thinking, this really isn't going very well. Everton scored 2 and concede 2, so Coleman was on for a clean sheet until the last 15-20 minutes, and then he lets in 2, so he didn't just get 2 points, he gets 1, so etc, etc. So it's one of those game weeks. Everything across my team just didn't quite go right. So as a result, I had planned for game week 4, I'd left some money back, and so I was going to be able to get Zaha for that really good run of games for Palace. And instead, I've pressed go on my wildcard because I just felt there were too many issues in the team. So the Coleman and Sigurdsson thing, it wouldn't surprise me if they do score well against Huddersfield, but it was becoming too much of a risk. They just weren't making enough points, and they were starting to lose value. I had people like Cedric who was losing value. I had Deeney and Foster, and Deeney had done okay for me. He got what did he got in total? Probably about 16 points, which is all right. If you'd have offered me that, in 3 games, he's going to get you 16. That seems okay. But fixtures were becoming tricky. Tottenham and then Man United, and then I think they're away at Arsenal. Well, they've got quite a tough run. Likewise, I had Foster. I think if he'd have maybe kept a clean sheet against Palace, and he looked like they should have done, the goal. It was a funny goal, that was a hard one. Everybody seemed to stop and put their hand up for offside, and he just ran through and stuck it through his legs. So yeah, just too many uncertainties there. So I've rolled out the wildcard and gone for that. So I don't think, is that the right thing to do? I think it is for me, for my team at the minute. Is it the right thing for you to play your wildcard right now? There is no right answer to that because everybody's different. There's not a one-size-fits-all approach to wildcards. If you do want to chat more about that and hear more about that, I've got a new tutorial that I've put up on my Patreon. Go check it out. If I was you, I'd wait until the 1st, because otherwise the way it works is it'll charge you a fee for August and then charge you again on September the 1st. So hang fire. If that's something you want to do, go check that out, but give it till Saturday if I was you. So yeah, that's where I'm at for, that was game week 3 and into now game week 4. I'm on this wild card and bouncing around loads of ideas for that. I think the biggest dilemma that I'm finding for that at the minute is the Liverpool conundrum. So I don't think there's any question that you've got to keep Salah, I think, at the minute. I think it's a toss-up, isn't it, between... You probably can't have Salah and Kane because it disrupts the rest of your team. You've got to have one of the two. I think Salah's been consistent without hitting top form, so I've captained him every week and he's returned points every week. So that's pretty much what you're looking for in a captain. So you'd be a bit risky to transfer him out, especially as he has got a couple of half-decent fixtures. Then it starts to turn for him. So the challenge for me, I think, looking at that wildcard, if you are on the wildcard now, is whether to keep... So I've had Mane since the start. His value's gone up. I think he's gone up 0.4 already. So it's whether I keep him or look at shipping him out. A challenge I have found is that there's a real gap between... You've got like Mane, 9.4... 9.9 he is now. You've got Eriksen at 9.4. And then there's like this gap, and then of not really much happening. There's like Pogba and David Silva, and that's pretty much about it in terms of players that are on form. And then you've got like Lucas Moura, and you've got Mkhitaryan, who are sort of 7.1, that sort of price. So that makes it quite tricky because there's no... If you were to cash in on Mane, you end up with, in a funny way, you almost end up with too much money to spread it. I know that sounds a bit mad, but it sort of just doesn't seem to all fit together, kind of, right? There's no like for like swap that is going to free up loads of cash. You could probably go Eriksen, but then it only frees up 0.4, and the knock-on effect of that isn't huge. Or you can go down to the 7 million bracket, and suddenly it's freeing up nearly 3 million. But you've taken a midfield spot, and then you're like, oh, I'll upgrade that and try and do something with it. But there's no options to upgrade it to. So kind of frustrating. I wonder if anybody else is finding that challenge as well. So I've still got a few days to work on that wildcard. I need to get my head down and do a load of work on that. So game week 4 then. Always interesting because it's the last one before an international break. So I think if you don't have to make a transfer, it's always valuable to carry that across the international break. There's always challenges that pop up there, injuries and things like that. Of course, it gives you another week to analyse the matches and analyse the players. So I'm thinking, I'm really backing Man City. I think they'll bounce back. Newcastle look god awful. I watched them on Sunday. I watched them last night in the Carabao Cup, and they look really, really poor, which is quite disappointing to see. I think Liverpool, they're away to Leicester. You'd expect them to win that. Interesting one for Man United. Watched them on Monday night. They're playing Burnley at a really bad time. Nobody likes going to play Burnley anyway because they're a really tricky unit, especially at home. And Burnley themselves have had a bad run. I wonder what's going to happen in the Europa game. They've got that tonight. In a funny way, I think if they were to get eliminated, it wouldn't be a disaster. Obviously, of course, they want to get through and progress, but it is really taking its toll on that squad. There are a group of players that aren't used to playing the midweek and then the weekend, midweek, weekend. So that is a really tough one to call, that Burnley-Man United game. I wonder if both teams would actually be quite happy if you offered them a draw. They'd take that now. So that's quite a tricky one to predict. I said last week that I thought Southampton might get a result, and they struggled again. And they had a man sent off and they lost in the last minute, so their motivation is going to be down. So I think that makes them, that gives Crystal Palace a really big opportunity this weekend to get a result over them at Selhurst Park. So looking at some of the players then, and like I said last week, when I'm going to do some picks, I'm not going to just give you the obvious ones, i.e. why don't you go and pick Alonso, why don't you go pick Mkhitaryan. I'm going to look a bit left field, so some of these names are going to... This isn't me saying these guys are brilliant, go and get them. This is me saying, hey, here's some food for thought. Have you thought about these guys? Go and do some research and have a look at them. So from last weekend, I noticed a couple of interesting things. Players emerging into the team as a result of injuries. Martin Kelly, £4 million defender for Crystal Palace. He got a game because Tompkins unfortunately got injured in the warm-up. Do we know how long Tompkins is out for? I'm not sure. If he's out for a number of weeks, could that be an opportunity? Martin Kelly, £4 million. Palace have got some good fixtures. That could be a good one. Charlie Taylor at Burnley. So I've just spoken about Burnley and said they're having a tough run. But Goodmanson, he has a hamstring injury. He went off injured. Charlie Taylor's a defender, 4.5, and he played on the left wing. So you've got an out-of-position defender. Burnley do have some good fixtures, so that's worth researching. How long is Goodmanson going to be out for? Could there be a bargain there in the Burnley back line? I thought Felipe Anderson was superb for West Ham. I only saw the highlights on Match of the Day, but I did actually think, I thought West Ham played really well in the first half. I thought they were dead unlucky not to be two goals up. The top man, Arnautovic, he goes off with a knock after an hour, and then it all goes wrong for them. Arnautovic, of course, captain in West Ham at the moment, and he goes off, the talisman goes off, and it all goes wrong. I did feel a bit sorry for West Ham. I did think they played pretty well, so they're playing Wolves now. Massive game for them at home on they play Saturday. So they're going to need people like Felipe Anderson, who's available. I think he's 6'9" now, to put on a show. And I also think in the striker category, all the excitement at Everton's been around Richarlison, it's been around Wildcard. No one's mentioned Tosun. Now, he's not scored yet this season, but he's playing every week. Everton are scoring plenty of goals, so they've scored in every game. I think they scored 2 in every game they've played now, so not a bad return. They stuck 3 away last night. I know it was against Rotherham in the Cup, but they're still scoring plenty of goals. I wonder if he might be worth a look as a differential. So finally, for Game Week 3, captains. So, as I said, I've captained Salah throughout the season. I missed that 20-point Aguero points haul because my style of play is to be risk-averse. I felt there was an element of doubt around that one, as I talked about at the time. I do feel, however, this weekend it would surprise me greatly if Aguero didn't start that match. We've seen Pep has put a lot of trust in him. We've seen that the guy looks really sharp, and there's been observations that people have made in the press and different players and pundits saying that he looks fitter than ever, and he looks like on top form. City, of course, need a win. They had that disappointing result last week where they dropped some points in a match where they probably expect to go to Wolves and nick it. He's also on free kicks. I thought that was interesting. He took that free kick at the end in the absence of De Bruyne, so that's a good addition. So I think Aguero's track record, was it about 2 years ago he scored 4 or 5, was it, against Newcastle in a absolute romp? So I think it's going to be Aguero for me. Of course, we've got the usual suspects. We've got Kane, who didn't play brilliantly well on Monday, but he came away with a goal and assist. I don't know. Don't think he got bonus. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he did. I know he got booked. So either way, you're looking at, I think he probably got 8 to 10 points. So considering he played not brilliantly, that's a good return. So could Kane be an option away to Watford? Possibly. And of course, our old friend Salah away at Leicester. It's the lunchtime kickoff. Nobody likes having captains in the lunchtime kickoff in case it goes horribly wrong. So for me, I think Aguero at home to Newcastle is pretty damn tempting. So thank you everybody as ever. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support, and enjoy Game Week 4. I'll see you in a couple of weeks for Game Week 5, and don't get too bored during the international break. Cheers.